Liverpool have just beaten Burnley 1-0 with a 95th minute winner for Mo Salah from the spot. And be honest, did you think he was going to put it away? I was feeling a bit nervous, when he stepped up. Obviously, there's no one else on that pitch that I wanted to take the penalty over Salah, but it's a pressure penalty and he sunk it. What a penalty as well. I just want to talk about a few kind of points about the game. Obviously, there's going to be lots of talking about it's another late winner. I think we're the first team in 4 consecutive games that scored in the last 10 minutes to win games. So we've done that against Bournemouth. We've done that against, obviously, Newcastle with Engamoa. We've done it against Arsenal with that Szoboszlai free kick in the 83rd minute, and we've done it again. There's a few things I want to talk about, and the very first point I want to talk about is Ryan Gravenberch. Now, what a performance by this man. Is he a traditional 6? No. Is he an 8? I really think he'd be fantastic as an 8. But what really stood out with me with Ryan Gravenberch, probably we've seen it many times before, but this was probably the game that I saw it the most. The way that he received the ball back to the rest of the team, receiving off of Konate, receiving off of Van Dijk or one of the fullbacks, and he just turned and just drove forward. Now, we've seen it before in moments. We've seen it before, of course we have, where he's amazing at that kind of like first touch where he uses his body really well, shields the ball, protects the ball and moves forward. But I think there was about 6 or 7, maybe even more than that, times where he did that continuously. And I liked it when he was looking for that forward pass and he broke the lines with a ball to McAllister or Wirtz or Ekitike. He did it really well. In the first half, he probably was our shining star. Van Dijk was typical Van Dijk. I mean, he just won absolutely everything. Konate was brilliant as well. Those two were superb throughout. Obviously, didn't have a lot to do, but Konate on a couple of counterattacks, whenever they did go down that side, I thought he did really well. And a few times that Van Dijk was called upon, he did extremely well as well, as you would expect. So those two, absolutely brilliant. Deserved clean sheet. Alisson didn't have to do anything, which says a lot about the game and how it went. I mean, you can see that with the 81% possession that Liverpool had at the end of the game. But Ryan Gravenberch, superb. And Dominic Szoboszlai as well. Just want to talk about him. He was brilliant, in that right back position. But I did feel like actually him playing right back, you saw the difference when Conor Bradley came on. Conor Bradley wasn't as advanced and he was just pulling up, still advanced position, but slightly wider, which gave more space in the middle. When Dominic did it, when Dom went forward, he was very narrow, which I think actually did cause a bit of our own problems there. So Dominic moving into, I keep calling him Dominic, but Dom moving into the midfield, he was confident. He had a great shot from about 35 yards. Well saved by the goalkeeper, but you'd expect Dubravka to save that. But I felt like he was positive. He was looking for opportunities and we were trying to link up really well. So Ryan Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, I thought Konate and Van Dijk were absolutely brilliant. And I just want to touch about Florian Wirtz because people are going to be panicking and this whole 007 nonsense that's going around. I actually thought in the first 10-15 minutes of the second half, the way that we played allowed Wirtz to get on the ball and start dictating the play. And I thought he linked things very well. That sustained pressure on the edge of the Burnley box, 20, 25 yards out, was because Wirtz was picking up the ball and just keeping things moving. Now, it is going to take time for him to adjust. Of course it is. Again, it's so hard playing against these deep, low blocks that so many of the Premier League teams play. It'll be interesting to see what happens against Atletico Madrid and then next weekend against Everton. It'll be interesting to see how Everton line up with their new attacking approach with like Jack Grealish being in the team, obviously, to see how they approach that at Anfield. But I feel like Wirtz kind of grew into the game. I don't think he was bad and people are going to be like, oh, he was terrible. He wasn't. We just couldn't get him, Ekitike, Salah into the game. Everything in that first half went down Gakpo's side. And Gakpo, I love him, but he is so predictable. He's going to cut inside on that right and that kind of half cross shot. It's fine to do every so often. He did it brilliantly against Brighton last year, which was the equalising goal. And then Salah obviously scored to make it 2-1. But how many times have we actually scored from that kind of ball from Gakpo? I feel like he tries it like 8 times a game and it's not coming off. He needs to be unpredictable. We saw Ekitike in the first half. He got the ball on the left-hand side. A few step overs, took it to the byline, and he played that ball across and it went narrowly wide. That's what we need to see from Gakpo. We need that variety. It's what Luis Diaz had. He would go on the left, he'd go on the right, he'd cross it, he'd keep the ball, he'd drive at players, take them on. Gakpo's a bit too safe And it's a shame because when Gakpo is full flowing, when he actually takes people on and he runs at them, he's unbelievably good at what he does. But he's playing the safe option too often, whether that's instruction or confidence thing, I don't know. But everything went down that left-hand side and we didn't really create. In the second half, it was a bit more fluid. We got Salah on the ball a little bit more, even though he wasn't fantastic on the ball. We got Wirtz on the ball a little bit more. We were linking up a bit better. Dominic being in the middle, Bradley coming on made a huge difference to that. I thought Robertson was actually very good when he came on for Kirkhead as well. So I actually was kind of pleased with the second half. Didn't think we created a whole lot, although I think Wirtz had 2 shots that were blocked. I think Dominic had a shot that was blocked. Ekitike had a shot that was blocked. So it's a shame we didn't get to test Dubravka because they looked like decent shots, but that box was just so crowded. And I think there's a lot of positives that we can take from the second half. I just wish we showed that urgency from the beginning. I was really worried in that first 5 minutes that we approached that game that it was slow. And that does worry me against a real deep low block. If you start slow, it's a bit hard to pick up the pace. And at what minute do you do that? We never picked up the pace in the first half. We kind of picked up the pace in the second half, but it wasn't until the end when they got the red card and then they threw Arne Slot, threw on Chiesa, threw on Engamoa. That did I feel like actually we're going for it now. And even then we didn't create a whole lot. And thankfully Hannibal decided to put his arm up here for some weird reason, and we did actually walk away with the win. It's interesting that lots of people like Burnley deserved a draw. Burnley didn't do anything. They defended well, but to say that Burnley deserved a draw and Liverpool didn't deserve a win, when you look at how the two teams approached the game, I find it quite a bizarre view in that sense that low block teams deserve to get something when they don't do anything other than sit in a low block in a 5-5-0 formation, counter-attack a couple of times with 2 players going forward, and that means that they deserve a point. I don't know, maybe I'm in the minority there, but there are some pleasing things. I'm not worried about Wirtz. I'm a bit disappointed that Ekitike is being taken off because actually, what was it, like 2 minutes after he got taken off, Andy Robertson put a beautiful ball in, Chiesa unmarked free header, and if that was Ekitike, got a great chance. With that though, Chiesa, brilliant run into the box, middle of the penalty box, kind of like near the penalty spot, free header, great. I was watching Ekitike's movement and he does peel to that left hand side. There's a couple of times where we were linking up with Gakpo, Robertson, Gravenberch and Sobo, and then Ekitike was there. Ekitike, you need to be in the box, you need to be central, so when we are putting balls in, we've got a player to attack it. There were a couple of times where he drifted, which makes me just think actually when Alexander Isak is fit, is Ekitike going to be naturally moved to the left as competition with Gakpo potentially? And yeah, because if Gakpo's not firing, actually let's try something different with Ekitike. I will just touch on Ryan Gamoa because he was only on for the last like 10 minutes or so, but he just gets the ball and drives into the box. It's what I like about him. It's just so direct. A beautiful ball to Frimpong. It's so unlucky that wasn't Salah because maybe that would have been the chance. One touch, bang, left foot. Frimpong, yeah, couldn't quite get his feet sorted, obviously just returning from an injury, but he's so positive. I'd like him to be used a bit earlier. And I know that's obviously some people will be against that 'cause he's 17, but after looking at some of the Michael Owen stuff and he's, you know, during the international break where he was talking about when he burst on the scene, if you are old enough, if you're good enough, you're old enough. Look at Lamine Yamal, for example. And I absolutely think that of Ryan Gamoa, he's got something. And I would like to see him, maybe not start games, obviously, but getting a decent chance, 60, 65 minutes. And that's where Rio's development is going to come hand in hand with how we play in games. If we were 2 or 3-0 up in that Burnley game, then actually he probably does come on earlier. So it goes hand in hand. The team have got to be playing well for Rio to get more chances. But I've seen quite a lot of panic online, like, oh, we're not playing well. The fact of the matter is we've won 4 games out of 4 tough games, but we've walked away with wins. There are going to be plenty of teams that drop points to deep low blocks. We've seen City lose 2 games already. We've seen Arsenal drop points already to us, for example. We've seen Chelsea draw away to Brentford with a very late goal from our boy, Fabio Carvalho. So there are going to be drop points across the season. The fact that we're not gelling and not clicking yet we've still got 4 wins out of 4 is massive. And I actually think that Liverpool teams of the past, the more games that they play, the better we play. So I'm looking forward to playing Atletico Madrid midweek, then Everton. I think the more games that flow, a game every 3-4 days is actually a positive thing for our squad. It means that we'll see plenty of players kind of getting up to level match fitness. Arne Slot did say that Alexander Isak could play 45 minutes, which would be amazing. Rightly so, though. He did quote before the game that Visser at Newcastle, didn't play any pre-season with Brentford, played 2 90-minute games in international break, and he's injured. So it's right to be cautious. It's a long season, not to get him in straight away. Surprised not to see him on the bench, but on the flip side, not surprised at the same time. We've got to be sensible about things. But yeah, I'm just curious to know your views about what you thought about the game. I'm feeling quite positive about it. Let me know if you want to see kind of like screen grabs from the game where I can dive into a little bit about the tactical, because there were a few things in Sobo's position, Bradley's position, Frimpong's position, Ekatike, and then Chiesa that I do just want to kind of highlight. But let me know if you want to see that kind of content. And we'll be back for Atletico Madrid midweek, where we might even do a cheeky little watch along. So let me know if you want to see that. I hope you have a good weekend in whatever you're doing. And up the late winning Reds, 4 wins out of 4. Get in there.